your home is on the market and you're ready to start looking at new homes, should you go look or should you wait? We're going to talk about that on this episode of Unlocking Doors. So, Michelle, one of the things that I'm seeing in this market where it's taking a little bit longer for properties to sell is buyers, well, I guess really sellers are maybe jumping the gun a little bit and going and looking at properties, putting contracts on properties before their property is sold. And I'm sure you see this on the lending side where whether it's, new construction or pre-existing homes, a buyer falls in love with the property they see that's listed and they're like, hey, let's go look at it. Let's put an offer on it. Their home's not even remotely ready to go on the market, but they're already committing to what they're going to do with this one. What are your thoughts on that?
Don't do it. And here's why.
That's the end of the episode. Just don't do it. No.
Here's why. Because it's not that it can't be done.
Right.
If you have the financial means to afford both payments and you have the ability to come up with minimum down payment or whatever down payment is needed to purchase the home, you could move forward.
Right.
Just understand that you don't know how long you're going to be making two payments. Mm-hmm. And two sets of utility bills and two insurance and two tax liabilities and all of that. So it's owning two homes at one time. If you have the financial means to do that, then, you could go ahead and make a decision that it makes sense for you financially to do that.
Yeah.
But most people don't have the means to do that. Or if they were to do that, that really puts them in a financial bind.
Right.
They're depleting their savings account. So if there's an emergency that comes up, something happens on the house they're trying to sell, and they need to spend some money, they can't.
Right.
So even if you can, should you? The problem is that there's not any predictability right now.
There's really not.
It's going to take to sell your house. And it's really hard to make a financial commitment that big with no predictability.
Right. And I want to give an example of that just so people can visualize, because I see this a lot right now. And I would say more so with new construction. So everybody knows that there's some great incentives with new construction because they are trying to move inventory.
Sexy.
Yes. But builders are offering some crazy incentives and they're taking some contingent offers. Some builders aren't taking contingent offers, but some still are. And they're doing that, but it's also like they're locking you into that price and you kind of lose a little bit of leverage if your home hasn't sold or at least under contract and you kind of know what the terms are going to be. Because that is the reality right now. We can't necessarily predict how long it's going to take to sell and what it's going to sell for. So you're committing to this price and these terms before you fully know what you're getting out of your home. And that can drastically change what you're willing to do or what you're willing to pay for the next one. So I've had some clients get in positions where, I hate to use the word they've gotten desperate or they kind of been backed into a corner. But they kind of have.
Make a decision.
Yeah, they kind of have. And ultimately, they are getting the home that they want. But we want to make sure that they're doing it with the, financial ability and that they don't feel forced to take the first offer or the only offer or whatever it may be, just because they feel pressured that they need to close as soon as possible so they can close on this one.
Yeah. And I really think it's easier said than done, but there are so many homes available. Mm-hmm. There will be a home, likely better than the one that you are in love with right now, available whenever you've got yours. At the very least, be under contract and through auction period.
Yeah.
Before you go house hunting.
Yeah.
And then just think about the emotional strain. Do you pack? Do you not pack? What's the cost going to be? What's the interest rate going to be? Because you can't lock in a rate until you know for sure when you can close and fund.
Yeah.
And then there's the financial commitment of the option, the earnest, the inspections,
the appraisal,
just all of the expenses on something you may or may not be able to buy.
Right.
That's it's a big commitment. Now, I know that there are companies out there you could quick sell your house to.
Right.
What does that look like?
So I have sellers ask me about this all the time. and they get these. It's usually you get something in the mail from they're called wholesalers. They're basically real estate investors who are looking to, maybe they'll buy your home and pay cash for it and actually close. But a lot of times they're just trying to make a really low offer, and then they're going to wholesale that contract to the actual investors that are going to buy it, and they're going to make money on the difference. Now, sometimes I do sell my listings to wholesalers, and sometimes they have a network of investors that will buy the distressed types of properties that I might have listed. That's not going to be everybody's best case scenario. Whenever you're taking an offer from a wholesaler, it's usually the worst offer you're going to get. Because it has to make them money, and they're not, you might get some convenience out of it, but it is going to cost you. So the wholesaler letters that you get in the mail, that is an option, but it's probably not going to net you the amount of money that you want out of that property to get you into the new one that you're wanting to buy.
It's like, I remember my husband's addicted to cars, and so he's bought and sold a bazillion through the years. And when he's ready to buy something, I would always say, listen, what are you gonna sell before you buy something new? And, it's like, don't wholesale what you're trying to get rid of just so that you could go pay retail for what it is that you want to buy.
Yeah.
But if you do get in a hurry, that is an option. You can do that.
Right.
It would be a quick way to get rid of your house. But it's not really the smartest decision. Right.
And I do want to clarify, because I have a lot of friends that are wholesalers that are successful, and they do serve a very valuable, service in the market, because there are those sellers that need wholesalers and they need those investors. So I'm not bashing them at all, but it does come at a cost with the convenience that they offer. Another is like these buy before you sell programs, where I think Orchard is one, Homeward is one. And these are programs where they buy your home, they finance your new home, they do all the title work. So they're able to offer they buy your home at a discount. They're hoping they're going to make up the money on the back end with those ancillary services like title, mortgage, insurance. So they're getting paid on that stuff, but they're also going to offer you at a discount. Open Door is another one where they'll say, oh, you don't have to pay realtor fees, but then they've got like their convenience fee that's, I think it averages out to like, they say don't pay the 6% realtor fees, but then you pay like 9 to 12% in their fees, plus whatever discounts they want on top of that. And I don't know the specifics on their business model, but, convenience comes at a cost. And so I'm not a huge fan in this market of committing to what you're going to pay for something until you've sold yours, or until you've made it past the inspection and appraisal on yours. Because you take any and all leverage away from your situation, in my opinion.
But there are situations where someone does need out of a neighborhood quickly, or they need into a different neighborhood quickly, and these are good options. I'm not saying don't do it, but you do need to be cautious and get full disclosure of all of the expense, so you can really weigh out what would I be paying for the new home, and what are those costs, fees, and long-term and short-term, and then same thing on the house that you're selling. So if you do have the ability to wait, it's best to wait it out and just be patient.
I agree. And I would almost be willing to bet that, because a lot of times the reason people jump the gun like that is they see a house that they love and it's at a price that they really like. Who's to say that by the time you get yours sold, it's not still available and maybe even at a better price? So that's just something to keep in mind right now with how much inventory we're seeing on the market.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you are in that situation and you're thinking about buying and you need to sell, give Michelle a call, because you obviously need to talk about what kind of mortgage you're going to have and what your finances are going to look like there. And also give us a call so we can talk about how to market your property and get it sold. And we definitely want to have a strategy around that. So thanks for checking out this episode of Unlocking Doors. I'm Cory. This is Michelle. We'll catch you on the next one.